Okay, let's see. It says that we're live, Trina. I
It
think we're
says
live.
we're recording.
Is it say that it's
It
live?
does. I
It
think it
does
does.
say we're live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? We're a little bit late. Let me just speak favor. Trina and I speak favor over all the folks here listening to us and in the Soul Tribe, and we just speak be of service to others and happy birthday. And thank you for tuning in. It's an honor to have you here. You know who I am, and this is my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. How are you doing, dear?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Wayne?
I'm exceptional, rare, and quite unique.
Yes, this is true. I must agree
So
fully.
I hope we all are. Hey, Nina, what's up? Good to see you. David Cass. I saw David Barry. Lots going on. If you hear the chirping in the background, yeah. So Trina, I showed you, and I'll just let everyone see a little update since Nina is actually in there. I hope the wedding was fun. And so Trina, yeah, I know you and I talked about it. So, but y'all can just go ahead and add commentary as well. So last week, this was the bird. It literally was, at this point, it came on the doorstep Sunday evening. So this is last Tuesday. So Trina, here we go. Here it is today.
Yay!
Look at this little fella. Taking him out to try to teach him, you know, get him back used to the natural environment. And I didn't go so well. He was really confused, obviously, and he started the sound of distress, which birds do, particularly small birds. And so I have a cage that we have him in now, and I'm glad because I put him in the cage, walked around to the garage and came back, and I mean it wasn't more than 3 minutes later, this was on the cage trying to get the
Tail.
bird. That is a red-tailed hawk. So yeah, there you go.
It's amazing. Thank God
it,
you are there to protect that little bird.
I'll tell you what, that little guy, I mean, geez, I can't tell you how wait a minute, what am I doing here? Let's just stop this. So I think I got everything. Did I stop the shrink? This? Yep, I did.
Yes.
All right. So the bird is thriving. Just teaching it now. It's ready to fly. It's got to get some momentum. So anyway, there we go.
It's amazing. I love
Yeah,
it. We rehabilitated a woodpecker once. So, I mean, a roadrunner.
that had to be interesting. I
It was a
mean,
roadrunner. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we put him in the chicken coop. He did real well.
I could see that.
That's how
Yeah.
he could learn to fly again, because the pegs for the chicken coops, they would go
Mm-hmm.
on different pegs, so he could learn to fly and jump on the different pegs, and get his balance and get his bearings. So that might be an idea for you.
I think the way he's growing and what we have done the research on him, these are amazing creatures. It's been quite the experience to learn and watch this creature grow overnight, literally.
Mm.
Is that he will probably be out ready to go by Wednesday because
Wow.
yeah, so I'll make sure that the the hawk isn't around because I
Right.
cheated him out of a meal. So welcome everyone in the chat room. Robert V is in the house. Isby,
Everybody.
Pamela. Let's see, Jules. What full house there, Trina.
Hi,
So
everybody.
how was your weekend?
It was fabulous. I was in Sedona. Can't ever go wrong with that.
Is Sedona still, as I asked you earlier, is it still vibing?
It is now, like I
I
told
love
you.
it.
It's
Good
sending
evening
some
from
really good
London.
mojo.
Welcome London. We welcome you, Jack. Thank you. We got people from all over the world, and they're the best. So, what's happening up in Sedona? It's a magical
It was.
place, anyway. Did
It
you climb
is.
the rocks? Is that or the
Yes,
path?
we climbed the rocks. We went
Yeah.
and got into the river and played in the water a little bit. And we had some teenage kids with us, and they were needing some balancing. And It is so magical how it transfers the children and puts them.
Were they adolescents or teenagers?
They're teenagers. They're both
Okay.
about 16. So
Yeah, yeah, that's when the old the old dump is taking place of all the hormones. It's
they,
testosterone's high, estrogen is high.
yeah, they're on a
Yeah.
hell of a ride. Hell of a ride.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm. So,
And
was it hot?
no, I don't know how, Wayne, but it was only 76 degrees.
Wow, that is like
And we were surrounded by black clouds of ominous doom with flash flood warnings and evacuation notices going off on our phones. And everywhere we would go, we might get a little sprinkle, one or two, but it was amazing. And literally, we drove home and it was like the sky parted for us the whole way. The whole way. It was
we that's part of alchemy. I don't find that to be strange at all.
it was powerful. And the girls were watching it, and oh, she was like, I can't believe this. And she'd never seen like a wall of water from a distance before, because
Yeah.
in Arizona the plains are open, you can see for miles and miles. So she could see this like wall of water, and I was like, we're gonna hopefully we make it, because we're heading down the freeway. This thing is coming at us, and we did. She's like, we're not gonna. I was like, we're gonna see what we did. It was amazing. The whole day, the synchronicities, the clock, 444 333. It was ridiculous all day long, starting at 10:10. It was just a magical day. Magical.
I love those, and that's the way it should be every day. We're talking about miracles. I mean, I see
Yeah.
miracles every day, and it's
Yeah.
it's most people miss them,
Yeah.
and so once you become used to missing them, when they do show up, it's
It's, yeah.
by the way, I read this interesting article on numbers, 1111 333, and the person writing the article was pointing out that this is really kind of a what we would call a new age phenomenon, because 100 years ago, the consequences of seeing a set of numbers randomly show up, let's say 1111, would be extremely rare because, number one, people didn't really keep time the way that we did. And if you advance this back 200-300 years ago, you can then begin to see how rare it would have been. But today, because we live in a digital matrix, the combinations now take on even more important meaning and connotations because we are in the digital reality. Just wanted to point that out. So it's kind of a new phenomenon for humans.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 I mean, what would you have done if you were back in the Roman times? You probably most likely were. It was a era of enlightenment. Most people didn't work; they had slaves, uh, and the different class of slaves. But my point is, when would you really think about a number system in your day-to-day activity? You wouldn't be looking at your wristwatch. You wouldn't be looking at your digital on your computer because that didn't exist.
It's so funny when you said, why would you be looking at numbers? The first thing I saw was measuring. I saw measurements. I think that was
That would be a good reason.
yeah. It was they were measuring things, and they were measuring time and measuring for buildings and architecture and
Well, they
measure.
were definitely were measuring the Romans were very much advanced in architecture and
That's what I
mathematics.
saw them measuring blocks and stuff. I was like, I literally saw a measuring rule and they were counting the numbers. And I was like, wow, I do think that that was very important for them, but not in the way it is for us.
No, no, they would not see any. Well, I don't know. You can't think about of a person, let's say, that lived in 300 BC. Just like hello.
It's tough unless you can like view it like you've been there. And I've been lucky enough to get some glimpses of that. And that's why I'm having a hard time believing the whole that they were like not as advanced thing.
Oh, I think they were very advanced. We
They were
can't,
more advanced, Wayne.
yeah, we can't replicate what they did.
I don't think so.
No, we don't today. I think it's the tragic thing that I am seeing taking place with Homo sapiens is the fact that we're losing the trades. What I mean by that, we're talking something that has been passed down from generation to generation for thousands, potentially 10 millennia.
Yeah.
This generation here is a generation that has lost the ability of working with their hands. They no longer know how to create with their hands.
No. They only know how to do it with a keypad.
Yeah, and think about that. They're putting that creative energy into AI, into the ether.
Yep.
Ah, I mean, I'm glad that I learned, I was an apprentice, went up through the whole apprentice into journeyman and then getting to the point where you could be recognized as a master.
Yeah.
And carpentry, electricians.
Yeah.
I always thought it was cool. I worked back in the day. I was in the commercial. I worked as a drywall finisher.
Yep.
And so I worked on commercial projects, high rises, mostly. And it was always interesting because while I was there doing my job, you learn by osmosis the other trades, like
Yeah.
electricians. Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Do.
the ones that were unique were the pipe fitters and the iron workers. That group was what, and they had this attitude that they were the elite,
Yeah.
and they were. I
I
mean,
know.
they got the highest pay scale.
Well, because if you don't have water and if you don't have strong foundations, nothing else works.
Yeah, the iron workers, I mean, I
Yeah.
tell you, they're a lively group. They remind me of kind of like the Hells Angels of the construction trade.
Yeah. They're like, don't forget where your structure. Yeah.
Like, don't
Foundation
F us
starts
with
here.
us at all, man. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They are like steel. Yeah. They're not.
It's
Yeah. They're tough.
quite amazing anyway. And I'm glad I learned to trade. I eventually got into technology, but I can still do that trade today.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
know,
riding a bike.
yeah,
The muscle memory gets in. But to
and
become a master, that's an artist, Wayne, because you have
you
to have
see
an
that
artistic
finger?
talent to be able to be a master drywall finisher.
Yep. Do you see that finger?
Huh?
It's permanently twisted
Yeah.
because the way I hold the
Wow.
blade on the knife,
Yeah.
you put extremely amount of pressure in that.
Yeah.
And that's why I learned these meditation techniques, because
Mhm.
the thing about drywall finishing is that once you know the techniques, then it's mastering
Yeah.
the art, and it is an art.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you're in this zone. I mean, we've all been there. You've been there. It's just,
Yes.
it's that weird. Anyway, yeah.
One of my best meditations is when I drive.
Isn't that the truth?
It always
Yeah.
has been.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Always. Always. I always. I mean, it's like literally. I don't know what it is about. It's connecting really to the emotional part of it when I'm driving. I don't know if it's the motion, if it's the wind, if it's the air. I don't know what it is, but yeah, something about driving is
Well,
powerful.
think about it. I remember as a kid, I loved when my grandparents would go into Sacramento or places because I'd fall asleep. And that's what you have. You have vibration, you have frequency, you know, and you get into this thing and yeah, just swoosh.
Yeah, see, I've never ever been able to fall asleep in the car.
Oh, really? Man, I can,
Nope.
man, it's no problem at all.
Nope.
You know.
Mm-mm. And
Now,
and 90% of the time, I've always my entire life. I mean, my whole family. If we're driving anywhere, I literally, it's like when we're getting ready to load the car, watch out because they're throwing the keys at me every time. Every
I
time.
have to, Adam, good to see. He says, I'm at work as a welder in the shipyards, and at this very moment, lo, it's raining here. Well, welcome, Adam.
Welcome, Adam. Thank you
Welding,
for your hard work.
yeah, yeah, I love it. This is going back. I had a friend, David Myers, his dad. owned a company called Southwest Equipment Company, and they basically made pressure vessels for the oil and gas industry. And that's where I learned about, pressure vessels and how to draw them out anyway. So the welders were those are some hard workers. I don't care what anyone's, and it is an art to get that weld where and Adam, you probably know, you can speak better than I could, to get that to where that weld is absolutely sealed.
Perfect. Perfect
Yeah,
bead.
yeah.
Perfect bead. My dad's a welder and my brother. So yeah. My
Teresa
dad
says at
learned,
our age we're pretty much jack of all trades, aren't we?
yeah, my dad learned to weld in Vietnam, Wayne.
Is that right? I could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
is that
did.
right? And
He
when he
did.
was in the service?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
the one who was welding all the bridges for the tanks to get into the jungles. He was on the front line. He was making the roads for the boys to get into the jungles on. Yeah.
My uncle was the president of the Machinist Union out in California back in the day. And a lot of my family, uncles, what have you, worked at Mare Island, which was the shipyards. And most of them worked. My one uncle was a blacksmith, and he was working on the nuclear submarines. Now, you wouldn't think that a nuclear submarine would have the need for a blacksmith shop, but yeah, yeah. And my grandfather, he was a machinist, worked at the Yuba. I mean, yeah. So anyway,
My grandfather was a machinist.
is that
And
right?
yeah, and then but then my father, his boys, my dad and my uncle, they went into welding and then cars. Yeah. So
My brother is a machinist, has been one for some 42, 40. He's worked at the same company for nearly 40 years.
yeah.
And he is a master machinist. He knows metallurgy like the back of his hand. And I keep telling him, I'm saying, guy, you're an alchemist, dude. I
Mhm.
mean, metal. He can tell you the properties of it. He said the atomic weight of it. I mean, yeah.
How long it takes to melt, how long it
Oh,
takes to bend, how much heat, how much pressure. Yeah, those guys, it's
he
it's alchemy.
does
Yeah.
complex machinist work on building, for instance, in oil they need solid screws that they're like,
Massive.
12 inches. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
massive.
Massive.
And he runs the machines that actually cut them and et cetera. Yeah,
Yeah. We've worked with a lot of machinists in our lifetime, and that is a very specialty trade,
it
and it's
is.
so profound, and the equipment needed to do it is off the chain.
By the way, it's odd
Yeah.
that we're having this conversation when I was talking to my brother here, and we just talked a couple of weeks ago. Machinists are there virtually isn't any more in the United States.
I was going to say, if you guys want to become a very successful business
Yes.
owner and be investing in these types of trades, you will be a millionaire. I've seen this happen over and over again. I grew up with all the guys who built the machine shops,
Mm,
who ran the block companies, who had the electrical companies, the masonry companies, all the different companies. I grew up with all their kids because we lived close to the commercial pocket in the North Valley. So it's kind of a
yeah.
conglomerated us all together as children because all of our parents wanted to be relatively close to their work. So we were all grew up together. I've seen more millionaires made, and I mean real millionaires, not charge card, loaned out, mortgaged homes. No, I'm talking paid cash for their houses, paid cash for their trucks, paid cash for their tractors,
But you
cash.
can the going rate in a union shop for a master machinist is about $45 an hour. That's
Yeah,
good
it's like
money.
I said, I'm
That's
thinking people need
good
to get away from
money.
all that stuff and go independent. We need freedom.
But if those, hey, Jenny, how you doing, my love? Good to see you, dear. Yeah, listen, if you have children, tell them that's a good direction for them to go in. It's
Really is a good direction, especially if
yeah.
they like to work with their hands.
Well, we don't realize it, and we studied it today, and things that we read and look at. It's the fact that there's alchemy. There is something even on a spiritual level when you work with your hands and you create something.
I was going to say, and again, it's another layer of losing humanity's a gift of being human. Is the more that we give our tasks to systems to do them for us, it's taking the process away from us. And if we don't connect to our world as we're building our world, it loses its value. When I look at the artesian areas and what they're calling the Tatarian, those buildings and structures were some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And the images only match to things I've seen in the higher realms. Those things used to exist here. And now there's very few of them because they've all been destroyed. And now nobody can replicate them. No one can build it. So what does that mean? It means we're actually devolving.
I lived in a commune outside Taos, New Mexico, and it was such a cool experience. There was a community there. We were all artisans.
Yeah.
It was amazing. You had the weavers, and you had the farmers, and you had the one. It was just a very cool place. The sad thing was, it existed for just a short period of time, and we all went our separate ways. But it was really just, it was a cool place. I have to say, it really was.
Those are those magical transitional windows in our life that are huge gifts.
I still remember, I was out because I loved planting, to see plants grow. It was just amazing. And I can remember having some of the most profound conversations, with other spirit beings, and these are people, and we're out there working, but the work becomes almost secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We built our homes by hand. Our families, we would come together with our friends and family and
Cool.
help each other build our houses and our cabins.
Mm.
So I spent a good majority of my life on different projects of building
And
family
I say something that if you do that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen,
Mhm.
Soul Tribe members, and all the others in between, um, when you do something yourself where you're going to live in it and you actually help build it with your own hands, there's a protection that takes place there.
That's exactly what I was seeing, Wade.
Yeah, I mean, people
Stone
don't get it,
protection on it is profound. I've always had a dream. I really want to dream. I really want to build cob homes.
Interesting.
I've always wanted to do that. I've been building tree forts since I was 5 years old, digging in the
Mm.
dirt and making walls out of clay and straw, building houses and making fireplaces. And I've been doing that since I was a little kid. Yeah.
I love that. That's, you know, you could take it one step further, and using a little bit of the spiritual magic along with a little bit of spiritual
Yeah, my
alchemy.
walls have crystals embedded within them.
Oh wow, now that's
Yeah,
even
that's what I
that
mean.
charges them. Yeah.
That's what I want to do, and I want to
Yeah.
teach. I want to first find a way to be able to do it. It's hard with the regulations because they don't let you build what you
Scotty
want.
Boy says I'm a builder. Says I
Yeah.
love to receive from those who move in is amazing. Yeah. Well, Scotty, I'll tell you, you're enlightened, and that passes on, man. It's important.
Yeah, I get called in as the finalizer on a lot of these houses that get built, especially these really big ones, the mansions in Phoenix or Scottsdale. So, yeah, I get called in for the cleanup, and I get to see a lot of the people walk into their finally finished, cleaned home, and it smells clean, and they've never seen it in anything other than
If
construction.
they're really if
So
they're
I get
really
to
smart,
see
they
like
do a
the
cleanse. Do they do a cleansing of the house itself? I mean,
only the wise ones.
yeah, that's my point. It's only
Yeah.
the ones, when I first moved in here and I walked the property, assigning the legions that I know I have at my command. I literally, and my neighbors are looking at me like,
Right.
who is this guy? And what the hell is he doing? And literally, I took one step after the other. And as I took each step, I quoted that every place I put my step has been given unto me as an inheritor to the promise. And now I set my guards that you are now given assignment to let no harm, no foul enter in. And they're still there.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my
For
neighbors, she
understand
says, can
that.
I ask what you're doing? And I told her, I said, yeah, back in those days, I called them angels. They're spirit beings. And I said, yeah, I'm putting my angels on every square inch of this property. And she looked at me and she said, are you drunk? I said, no, and she says, okay. She said, I've never seen this before.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. We don't even think about doing this anymore. And I think back in the days, I think somehow people knew.
Hell yeah, they did.
Yeah. And it's
I
like I don't
mean,
know how we've lost so much of this, but like they understood the weather, the earth, the wind, like they understood a lot more than we did. I've been trying to do, I started seeing all those Tatarian pictures and it was triggering me hard.
mm.
So I started doing some work with that. And yeah, there's some stuff there.
And yeah, it's a lost knowledge, and it's sad because we
Us. It was
are.
a it was a great reset.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? And then, for those who us who practice these things, I think I don't think that we people like myself of like-mindedness in this group that we have come together, we all practice our own modalities
Yeah.
and we stand out.
Yeah.
Because most people have no idea what the freak your modality is, much less can you actually become a master of one.
Right. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. We're all unique. So
Yeah. I mean,
embrace that magic
it's
mojo that you fly with that
Mhm.
flow, man, because that'll take you to high places. Yeah.
So I had this
Great.
tree, this ash tree in property. When I moved in, it was just a really, it was a sick looking tree. It had somehow split off into two. And, the neighbors around there had told me that the previous owners were thinking about cutting it down, but they didn't. And so I went out there and first of all, I felt that the tree and I felt that the tree was just, it felt rejected.
Aw.
And plants are living things. They really are. They sing, they hurt, they so I just laid my hands on it and I just spoke that I just said, well, I'm the new uh master here. And I said, I just want to let you know that you're in my covenant. So I'm just speaking life. I said, you're beautiful. And I said, I'm grateful for the shade that you provide. That tree today stands nearly 60 feet tall and is just huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. You know, when we were in Sedona, um, we were sitting next to this tree and the vines had grown all around the trunk and up the tree and was like canvassing down. So there was like a hidden little path underneath the tree and you could go and it was just so beautiful. And it's I got teenagers and they're so connected to technology. And we got up there and what they wanted to do was they wanted to learn about spiritual stuff and tarot cards. And one of the girls with me, her grandmother was a master at that.
Mm.
So she's drawn to it. But they get so disconnected. And she was like, I want to go and maybe do a reading in this. So we brought some of our stuff and her grandmother's cards in her box and stuff. And I brought some of her grandmother's ashes with us. And we just kind of did some ceremony and some beautiful exchanges. And the magic, it shows up when you invite it. It's so powerful. And those children, by the time we left, like the whole time up there, they were like this on the phones, and by the time we left, like the phone, their batteries died. They didn't even ask for a charger. They didn't even care.
I love it.
Went dead. Kids never let their phones go dead. So they
No.
didn't care. Their phones were dead. They didn't care. And then we got into the car and they started letting their phones charge or whatever. And we talked to one the whole way home, and the other one literally just closed her eyes and just was laying there for a little bit and then just went to sleep. It was like complete, absolute shift in those kids from arrival to departure. And it was the magic of the nature.
I just wonder how many the teenagers, I mean, if there is a void of spirituality in the general mass of people. I contend that they have exchanged their spiritualness for the convenience of being entertained.
Yes.
I mean, that's what they're all about. It's entertainment.
And it's amazing though, because some of them somehow are feeling this and they're feeling the disconnection. And a lot
Yeah.
of kids are being drawn into the occult and the dark stuff, the dark parts of it, because they're not going through teachers of positive or light. They're going more
No,
negative.
it's just another religion. In fact,
It is.
most of the stuff that I see being practiced today is really nothing more than the Abrahamic occultism religions.
Correct.
They don't understand that they're in the same trap that the vast majority of those that practice that religion.
Yes.
Because my next door neighbor, she said, well, I worship Satan. And I said, well, that's good. I said, you do realize though that Satan doesn't exist. And of course, she's very young. And she said, well, she says, I find that hard to accept. I said, well, and then I began to explain to her. And she walked away very confused because I
Thank
said,
God.
yeah, and I hope that she is going in there. And I told her, I said, you're no different than a Christian.
Right.
I said, because the reason why you are the exact same thing as a Christian, you're worshiping just the antithesis.
Yes.
That's all you're doing.
Yes. And
Yeah.
anything that you're serving outside of yourself is a trap to consume you,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
eat.
I'm just trying to read in some of the chat room. It's a spinning. And it's these are the things that as I continue to see how things are evolving, there is this, like you said, I believe that there are many in the teen years, I think even younger, that are just waiting
Yes.
for that one spark to say, like the teenagers on your way back. And then they were talking.
Yeah.
What was it that they were most interested in? I'm curious.
All of it.
All
They
of it.
wanted to, and it was her birthday. So I bought her a pendulum board and a
Excellent.
pendulum so she could see how she could make this work. So I was showing her her power, and it totally worked. And she completely connected to it. And she was like, no way. So I was like, tell it to show you a no. And it would do it. And she's like, no way. I'm like, no, that's you. I said, your body knows these vibrations. It knows, it understands no, because no makes you weak and it goes at a certain rhythm. I said, and your body knows yes, because yes vibrates at a specific pattern and that will flow with a certain rhythm. So look and identify and start to understand what is your yes and what is your no. This is one of the first steps of spirituality and awakening, is understanding how to read your own internal compass. This is where we've lost our foundation, is because our compass is attached to what other people think, what other people say, what other people have taught for us to do for us, when we've lost our own foundation and our own connection to our own inner compass. So that was the thing I was really working with them, is showing them how to understand and trust their own language and to learn, what is your language? How does your language show you yes? How does it show you no? How does it show you positive and negative? How do you feel or associate with those vibrations so you can identify them when you see them in others? Because 90% of our communication is through vibration and signals and nonverbal communication. So when you can start to understand the language of the nonverbal communication, you quickly can become a master with understanding how everything around you is truly working, other than how it appears to be seen.
Exactly. I was listening to you and just getting thoughts down here because what's missing here is this, and I've been resisting this because if I do this, it gets very intense and very involved, and I'm not ready if I'm to make that commitment. But what I keep seeing here is the fact that I believe the time is now to begin to bring out occultism
Mhm.
in the aspect of promoting it as a art, a discipline. And hear me out on this. It kind of goes in line with kind of opening across the country mystic schools. I mean, and these would be predicated on a firm business plan that would be implemented the same. The model would be replicated city after city, community after community. And much like we saw in the advent of the Montessori schools, these were special schools where children that showed unique promises. Now, I believe that it is time now to bring occultism into the mainstream of, for instance, C-level executives, begin to replace the politicians today with occultists that have the working understanding, begin to infiltrate academia, begin to change the mindset, and begin to bring out a change and an alternative to this I believe God, Lord help me, this crap that has been plagued us for thousands and thousands of years. And the only time that in man's history where there was really the time of enlightenment is when the occult knowledge was recognized, practiced, and put into place in positions of high power.
Absolutely, because it's the only time that us as children of the creator, we're actually creating.
Yeah, I think it's time. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got to break out of this mold that when you hear the word occult or, a witch, a wizard, a sorcerer, a sorceress, that let's just be honest, it's laughed at
Yes.
because the vast majority of people could no more prove that they're of the discipline and initiate and adapt than you can with a person who's practicing mainstream religion. Show me your God. Well, the thing is that, well, the standard reply is, well, he's everywhere. Well, sure, I want to, you see where I'm coming at?
Yeah.
I mean, look at it today, Trina. If we had occultists in government right now, let's say we had a presidential candidate that was a master, or it could be a her. She's a high priestess, but brings out to the public the knowledge that she brings in or he brings in. That's a radical change. Think about that.
I think it's already being done, and that's the problem. It's already present, but it's being
Who would
used.
that be in? I can't find that. Who would that be in?
I think they're all doing occult.
That's an interesting position. I don't know if I can tell you. I've been in those higher circles. In what I found predominant in the ones that I was involved with was, I guess even when it was all one particular theology. That's the way I'll put it that way. And, as I examined that theology today, I came out of it.
Yeah.
It's probably some of the strongest magic I've ever seen.
That's what I'm
But the
saying.
problem is they don't know what they're doing.
Correct. But the ones that a lot of them do, and I think a lot of them have their see from what I was shown above even those people are the ones that are seen. But the ones that are in the backgrounds of those special parties and stuff like that, that's when they bring in the coven. And the coven
No,
is a different group of leaders. Yeah.
so I have to probably step back one statement because as I'm sitting here immediately, and I appreciate that, thank you. Um, so we know from the time of Kennedy up into the time of Reagan,
Yeah.
who was the chief astrologist? Jeane Dixon.
I was gonna say I can't remember who Nancy's astrologer was. Jeane Dixon. Okay,
She
I didn't
was
know.
there through 4 or 5 presidents.
Wow,
She actually had her own office.
I bet she did.
Yeah. So think about this. And I remember this because I was at a Reagan fundraiser, and I remember Nancy Reagan talking about Jeane Dixon, that how Ronnie, as she said, Ronnie really doesn't get the day really started unless, she says, Jeannie, is what she called her, was she would always give guidance. So I got to sit back here a little bit. So maybe that's what's missing in today's politics. Maybe it's the fact that there was, when the Clintons moved in, they were kind of the rock and rollers, they were the kind of the rebels. And I don't remember particularly any particular occultism ever being mentioned in it. There was just a lot of partiers. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I'm I'm quite taken back here. I'm going, yeah, there was strong occultic influence in American politics.
Yep. As I said, it's powerful magic, especially when you have public influence, because when you can focus thought into a mass audience of people that will adopt and believe anything you tell them, you've just performed a very powerful magic ceremony right there. So, because magic is based on consciousness and the power to direct and manifest thought. That's all it is.
I'm just reading a lot of the comments in here, and there seems to be pretty much a concurrent thought that, well, we may not see them in the spotlight, but
Right.
somehow they're in the back. So, all right.
Correct. I
So
think
then,
that's true. I really do.
well, then that's very interesting, because then they're practicing a type of magic that I would say is not in the best interest of human beings. It's
Absolutely not.
it seems to be more tyrannical, more,
Absolutely.
what's the word? Dominant. And
Well,
it's a very heavy presence.
think about it too. Dominion.
Dominion, perfect word for it. I like that, Trina. I've
Think
done
about
a
what's the issue with our problem right now with our system. We're having a little issue over this thing that was called dominion. See how it's multifaceted, Wayne, and they even use the word to show you what they're doing?
And isn't it odd that in I think it was the Star Trek series, I think Deep Space Nine,
Mm-hmm.
that the Dominion were
Yep.
the ones that came through the wormhole.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're right. Oh my God.
holy
I don't even
fuck. I
know
mean,
how
as
I
I'm thinking
remember
about
that.
this,
Wow.
and what did their prophets have that they would send to different planets? They were with this crystal,
Yep.
this staff. And if you
And
didn't
that
subject,
represents the power of the messenger of God in your
thank
body
you.
as your spine, autonomic nervous system. That's how you receive the messages from all around you, plus within you. The messenger of
Mhm,
God,
mhm,
spine, the
mhm.
staff, the rod. That's the symbol of the power of the Kundalini messenger of God activation inside your body in your spine. That's why you hold that staff. That's what that is.
It just goes to show you folks that everything in the universe is mental. I mean, because it's very obvious that there is a magic that's going on here. I do the Steiger perspective, and I'm already writing this week's episode. And the fact is the fact that they've got people so brainwashed
Yeah.
that you could show them. True Divine said Dark Crystal. That's a good movie, by the way.
It's amazing. There's so much to that movie.
I actually bought the DVD.
I need to buy it, Wayne, because
You
I
need
think
to
that is
watch that,
something.
folks.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, I watched this thing, and Lynn, she's like, "Where did you get this?" And I started explaining to her what it was predicated on, and as we're watching this. And she said, well, that's
Whoa.
almost exactly what's going on today.
Right. It's so crazy.
Because what are they taking from us? What did they take from? I forget what the people were, but when they got into the crystal room, what did it take from them? It took their imagination.
Essence. Yes, and their essence.
Yes,
Their
yes,
spiritual essence, their
yeah.
connection to
The
creation.
spiritualness of it. Yeah.
Got it, creation. If you lose your spiritual essence, you can no longer create. It seems
Mm,
like you
mm,
can't
mm.
create anymore. So when you look at the aliens, they can't create.
I'm telling you, man, it's like
And
having a
when you look
straw
at
on the
the
back of your
right,
head.
and I'm looking at the Tartarian time, and the
Yeah.
people and everybody wore fancy clothes and elegant garments and hats, and now we walk around in sweatpants and flip-flops and look like slobs. And the buildings back then were like museums, and oh, they were magnificent. I'm pretty sure they were using free energy. And then you look at all that, and then you show like they wiped everything out and they did the reset. Then you got people walking around in the mud with buggies and horses, and that's the history that they gave us. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is a downgrade system until you get all the way to alien, unless you can preserve and protect what you got going on. Because it looks like this is a downgrading system.
Ooh,
Think about it. In ancient Greece, we had demigods and people flying around on magic
yeah.
griffins and stuff, and who knows? And now we don't have nothing like that. Nothing. So this, and then, and oh my God, I'm seeing this massive downgrade through these resets. And I think that's what the aliens, like, they know they did that wrong. I think that's why they harvest our genetics. All speculative,
Interesting.
of course, because I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Well, there is definitely, as Sherlock would Holmes would say, there is something afoot.
Oh boy, is there.
I'm just trying to figure out how freaking big is the foot.
Big.
Because we talked about before, the giants,
Mhm.
and this is part of history that the reset tried to wipe out. But it's them damn bones. I'm telling you, it's them
And
bones, Trina.
the stone writings and the bones, and then
Yeah.
finding those manuscripts.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
I read an
magnificent.
article today that the archaeologists are beginning to accept the fact that there were these tall people, quote unquote,
Absolutely.
that ruled about 11,200 BCE.
Yeah.
And if you look at that time frame, you're going, yeah, kind of goes right into this whole. And again, it's the condensing of time that it's really weird,
Yeah.
because there is so much I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to this, because once we recognize their magic.
That's what I mean. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out this missing link in the genetics. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. I got a lot of questions and I just keep asking, and they keep giving me more a little at a time. Like you said, you only get it in spoonfuls or your brain will explode.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Jill
I'm
says,
getting some interesting stuff right now.
Mr. Bones is rattling. And them are big bones too, Jules.
Yeah.
They rattle a lot. And it goes to show you again. Um, I believe that our realm has always been ruled by what we call magic. You can call them master wizards, you can call them archons, you can call them whatever you want. But the fact that is that they're using the elementals and manipulating it in such a manner that what an untrained person would see would be considered miraculous, divine.
Wayne, we've had all this programming in the past like 10 years for the vampires. The vampires live forever as long as they consume human blood.
Mm-hmm.
What if we're being ruled by that? And that's why they're not seen.
Hmm.
Why do you think the push for the human blood?
There is a separation going on. I mean,
I'm looking at this real serious, going, wow, this might be very
this
powerful.
is real serious. I mean, we got to be so careful. You can't talk about it here, but
Well,
over
it's
on
all make
my
believe, and it's all like the movies in Twilight. The vampires ruled the world and they were underground and hidden in
sure.
secret. That's all the vampire Twilight stuff. And it's all right now on Netflix too. I was watching it yesterday. I didn't know that I forgot they had a baby.
Vampires can have babies.
Yeah, it almost killed her, and then it did kill her, and then they turned her into a vampire so she'd live. So yeah, they got the first vampire baby. And they could only have a vampire baby because she was human when they conceived the vampire baby. But the vampire baby did kill her.
Well, I'm totally in tune to that.
That's the Twilight thing. I forgot
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah. I mean,
and I've never seen that one. So I was like, and then I was, the kids were watching it, and I was like, oh, whose baby is that? They're like, well, that's their baby. I was like, oh my God, I forgot they had a baby. She goes, yeah, because they're not supposed to have babies. I was like, that's right.
I mean, there's some pretty advanced stuff on,
I'm telling you, but
Prime
yeah,
Video,
I'm doing all this going into this stuff, and then that movie comes up, and it's like on the kids are watching it. I was like, what is that? You know what I mean? It's like I keep catching all these weird synchronicities, and they're like, that's one of those, pay attention. I'm like,
mhm.
okay, is it vampires? Yeah, it might be. I think I'm right, Wayne.
So I look at things in allegory,
Yeah.
and, metaphors. And to me, that to me could be easily interpreted as the following, that this is what they're saying, is that there is another type of human here that doesn't have the same type of soul
Yes.
that everyone naturally assumes every human has.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I happen to believe that.
Think about how smart you'd be if you were alive for thousands of years. Think about the wisdom and the data and the information and the experiences that you would hold.
It's
That's
interesting, Trina,
profound.
that you said this, because I had this dream and I was talking to something,
Mhm.
and I remembered saying, to live longer than a lifetime. Oh, this is so freaking weird. I remember distinctly saying that it would be a hell, because to live in this physical reality eventually becomes redundant.
It's so funny. Wait, when you were saying that, I literally was hearing a song in my head play. Who wants to live forever?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
wants to live forever? They're like, nobody.
Mhm,
And they were
mhm,
vampires that were
mm.
singing it. It's a vampire video song I saw a long time ago. It's
Wow.
beautiful. It's piano music. It's beautiful. But it literally, they were like super sad. Who wants to live forever? They didn't, they were kind
Mm.
of sad.
There was a time in my life, I guess I could have bought into that, but I was telling Lynn this the other night. I said, there's this building anticipation, of this next realm. It is one that I used to fear, and now it's one that I can't, I have my mission to do here, but when the time is right, I told someone, a business associate this morning, I said, I'm going to ride out with a big thank you, because
Yeah,
I have loved this time.
me
This
too.
world gave me one of the best experiences, the ups, down, turnarounds, inside outs, outsides in.
Yeah. Thank you for my suffering because it made me so strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything that they tried to throw at, was like, as a kid, I was a throwaway kid.
Right.
Um, but it all turned out. I'm so grateful. Does that make
It's
sense?
like finding that freaking 10-carat diamond in the trash can, Wayne. That's you. It's like, man,
You
those
know,
treasures, those throwaway kids. Oh, don't lose those treasures.
I mean, I looked at this group of people here and I recognized the names, and I recognized the faces to some of these names. Thank you, Big Al, for the deck of cards,
Yeah,
because it helps. you know, that's all I got to say. It
yeah, they're
helps.
wonderful.
And my point being is that what what a privilege to meet all these people. I mean, it's a
I've waited
joy.
my whole life for you guys. I thought I was
Yeah,
so alone, and
yeah.
think you guys have no idea what you mean to my heart. So thank you for real.
There you go. Yeah. And if that doesn't bring tears to your eyes, I don't know, because there is, no matter what you say about this group, and even the extended groups that are building on the extended groups, is that within the core there is this softness. There is this gentleness,
Yeah.
you know. And even in the midst of debate, there is still this softness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
you know?
We can disagree and then we can go have coffee in 15 minutes and it's
Yeah,
all gone and it's
yeah,
okay. And you cannot agree and it's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I love diversity because it shows me what I'm not perceiving.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't need to adopt it, but it's cool to see something that I didn't see. So I've come to appreciate it so much because it really does make a difference for people
yeah,
to have different points of view. You can't
yeah.
experience the truth of anything until you can see it from all 360 degrees. And that's potentially going to have to be from 360 of your brothers and sisters looking at how they view it.
Yeah, and as you were saying, it was just, because everything is inverted, what
Yeah.
would be the opposite of 360? How would you invert? Come on,
Six,
folks. There's one for
zero,
everyone.
6, 3, 0, 0, 6, 3.
Wow, now there you go.
I literally saw the numbers reverse 0, 6, 3. I
Now,
don't
see, that is,
something to that. Yeah,
there
I
is
saw it.
something to that. Yeah. Hmm.
It's like,
Thank you,
okay.
David Barry. That was very kind of you. David said 0. It's very interesting. Yeah,
I saw that like a flash.
I love this.
Yeah,
There's
0.
truth in that, by the way.
The 0 is the wholeness, and the 6 is the number of perfect man, and 3 is the Trinity.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And isn't it interesting that when you
God, man,
really,
and Trinity.
yeah,
That's God, man, and Trinity. Whoa.
but then
Whoa.
even within each of those, there I see myself as a triune being.
Me too.
Yeah. And I imagine that's how we all are, is that
Yeah.
we all are triune beings. It's just
Yeah.
that some of us, and the masses out there, it's like trying to sit on a three-legged stool. You have to balance on two legs.
Yeah.
And that gets a little wonky after a while. I like that,
4.
yeah, exactly. Just put the three
Foundation.
down there,
Foundation. Yeah.
foundation. That's my
Yeah.
point. No, this has just been so, I had a whole bunch of stuff I was going to be putting out, but I
You
love the
just
way
got
that the
taken
spirit
over by
flows.
that river of flow,
I
Wayne.
mean,
You
it
just
just
went
went,
down that
woo,
river.
it's like, okay, they had other plans. And you're like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, this has just been fabulous. And what just a delightful group. So Robert V says 3690 does nothing.
0 is everything.
Yeah. And then, if you split the 0, then it becomes infinity.
1. And it becomes the first initiation of separation from source to anything can have an image of itself and see itself.
I've been meditating on the
I see it.
cohesion of my spiritual consciousness.
Mhm.
I get the physical consciousness that I know how the cohesion works. It's the spiritual consciousness because that's actually the one that transcends what we call the completed cycle here.
Yes.
Yeah. I
I
don't know, as a
somehow,
triune being, is it something that we kind of hang up, in the closet until we have to wear it again? I don't know. The physicality. Or is the physicality incorporated into the next realm already? It just has an addition. I don't
I
know.
don't think the physicality is part of the triune being at all. So that's just how I see it.
No, I mean, it's just like you're out there going, because we're all going to get there. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen it in my dreams. That's the interesting thing about dreams too. I know that I'm dreaming. And the thing about it is I'm becoming more aware that I don't have form. I only have form when I think that I look down and I'm expecting to see my hand.
Yeah.
That's just freaking weird because it dawned on me and I was in this dream and I realized, and I remember saying this, holy crap, I don't have any legs.
Right.
And and then all of a sudden I had legs.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Well, now I do. Yeah. And I'm going, now wait a minute. Now wait a minute,
The power of thought. Telling
It's
you
like,
it creates.
wait a minute.
Yeah, you're watching it real time, Wayne. That's
Someone said
awesome.
that, when you get to that point where you can begin, it's like the movie Inception, that there are trained individuals that really know how to go into the dream realm. and they know how to manipulate it. They know how to get inside your dream realm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, yeah. Watson says maybe consciousness is the center point of infinity. I could dig that. Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
That
Could
could be.
be. I mean,
You know, there's always that dot in the circle. I always see the dot in the center of the circle. Oh,
yeah.
always. It's yeah, that could
Hmm.
be.
I like that.
It's a good point.
66 likes.
That.
Y'all don't forget to hit the like button. And this has just been some mind-blowing stuff. David Barry said this is time travel, time
Yeah.
just went like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Happens with this. It does.
it
All the
does.
time. I'm like
I
all
mean,
the time.
we could be here all afternoon and, just
Yeah.
become exhausted, but I don't think that would ever stop because
No.
it never does.
No.
I've
No.
been meditating more. We're going to get into the time travel tomorrow, but I was doing the dishes. And it was really weird because I was practicing meditating on two objects that I had set on the windowsill. Because, washing dishes is pretty, you know, automatic. But as I was doing that, and it's really interesting practicing the perceptional view of one, but getting into the detail of other. Anyway, Lynn come up
You
and she
said
tapped my
that.
shoulder and it like freaked me out. I mean, I literally jumped up and of course she went, "Excuse me." And I went, "No, that's all right." She says, "You were in a totally different place," is what she said. "I was
Yeah.
talking to you and it was like you didn't even hear me."
Nope. Wow.
I
That's
didn't.
awesome.
I said, "Where the hell did you come from?"
When you said time travel, I saw 88, the Lion's Gate. The opportunities to jump will be in that window. We're going to be facing this again in the Lion's Gate. And I literally saw 8 and 8 makes 16, and the quantum computer says that we've got 16 realities that they can identify. 16 existences creating all right now simultaneously. There's 16 timelines that the quantum computer can see. And 88, the Lion's Gate.
Yeah.
We need to focus on this window of time to make sure we stay on the timelines we want to be on. I literally saw that so clear when you said that. I was like, whoa, the Lion's Gate, get ready. This one might be a big one.
Well,
It's approaching, fast
yeah,
approaching.
it's
August,
something. I'm telling you, I don't know
yeah, it's
what,
an
but
August week, I don't know, 8 or
yeah,
6 or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It's wow. This has been a heavy show. This has been, and that's been heavy in a good way. It's been
Yeah.
very
Lots of
effervescent.
information is just coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I
Very.
said, things are
It
strong.
is. It's like some seltzer water. It's
Yeah. And like I said, I went and played in the river with Sedona, and I brought some of that mojo back with me.
yes,
Yeah, that's
indeed.
some
Yeah,
happy stuff.
yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Trina. Now, are you on this weekend with Robert?
Yes.
And
Yes. I actually may have to not do Saturday, but I'm still seeing. But yeah, hopefully Friday and Saturday. But if not, hopefully one or the other. It's never, you never know with me with doing work and
yeah,
family.
yeah.
So yeah, the weekends have been tough
Well, I
lately.
know you'll be here next week.
Yes, always.
So
I can't
that
miss
I
my.
do know,
Wait, I take a whole day of my work week off for your show.
Do you really?
That's
Oh,
just straight
Trina,
up
that what a
honest.
gift. I'll tell you
And I've been
folks that
doing that for a very long time. But my time with you in this tribe is my greatest gift of my life. So I would gladly sacrifice
far out. I have
anything
to
to be with you guys. So
I
I'm
would
honored,
mirror that. Yeah.
and I'm
I
honored.
would
Yeah,
do.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, all you lovely people from all over the world, we send
Love
love to
you.
you. We send healing to you. We send favor, and
Big
favor means big hug. Yeah, I
oh,
always got my sky pilot here. How you doing, bud?
big
He
hugs.
says
Yes.
there's a bird in here. Do you know that? Yeah,
Yes, there
there's a
is a
bird.
bird in there.
Yeah. So, and favor means to you're empowered to prosper. And the thing about it is, I always tell the creator every morning when I wake up, and I'm thinking of Lilith and I'm thinking of Lucifer and all of them, because they're all groovy people.
I think
And I
Lilith
just
is
speak
just
favor
here.
to them.
I think Lilith just came in.
I love
Dr.
it.
Lilith, I think she came in yesterday.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think in not Gemini. Cancer, maybe? I don't know. I
Cancer.
think Black
I
Moon,
think
yeah,
it's
she just
yeah.
came in. That might be part of this
Excellent.
tower.
Yeah.
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 It's strong right now. I can feel it.
Yeah. Far out. Go hug trees. That's what Jenny says.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we just love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. And, just love yourselves and let's start thinking about this. I mean,
Yeah.
we are occultists here,
Yeah.
and they got to label us as something. And occultist just means, hidden knowledge.
And think about it. We're love. We're here to evolve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
evil, EVOL, is the opposite reverse of love. It means you're evolving, you're elevating in love. So we came here to elevate in love through love, front and back,
In back. I can hear
forwards
the
and reverse.
bird. All right, everybody. Much love to y'all. We will see you later on. And thank you. This has been groovy, hasn't it?
Yes,
If I didn't say
always.
hi to Susie Q, I just want to say that, and Brandy and Nina and all the rest of you. All right, folks. Bye-bye.